Good evening, everyone. I'm here in front of you with my new topic that is called Thalamus. First of all, I want to inform you that this is my new channel in YouTube. Please like and subscribe my YouTube channel for further information and videos regarding anatomy. So, let's get started. So, what is thalamus? Thalamus is a part of diencephalon. Diencephalon divided into four parts: thalamus, subthalamus, epithalamus, and the hypothalamus. If we talk about the thalamus, thalamus is situated at the rostral end of the brain stem and function as an important relay and integration station for information passing to all areas of the cerebral cortex, the basal ganglia, and the hypothalamus and the brain stem. The thalamus is large mass of gray matter located in the dorsal part of the encephalon, and the nerves project out of the thalamus to the cerebral cortex in all directions, allowing hub-like exchanges for information. Now, what is the general appearance of thalamus? Thalamus is egg shaped, as you can see here. Egg shaped mass of gray matter which forms major part of diencephalon. There are two thalamic nuclei. One is situated on each side of third ventricle, usually connected to opposite thalamus by a band of gray matter. Band of gray matter is called interthalamic connection. If we talk about the anterior part of thalamus is rounded and the posterior part is expanded. Posterior end forms pulvinar and the surface is also present in the thalamus. There are inferior surface which continue with the midbrain, that is called tegmentum. Medial surface continues with the third ventricle which form the boundary of the third ventricle of lateral wall. If we talk about the lateral surface covered by a white matter layer called external medullary lamina. Thalamus covered by a layer of white matter of its superior surface called stratum zonale. Now, if we talk about the subdivision of thalamus, gray matter of thalamus divide the vertebral sheet of white matter, which is called intermedullary lamina, into medial and lateral half. Anterior superiorly split, resembling Y-shaped. Thalamus subdivided into three main parts. Anterior part lie between the limb of Y and the medial and lateral part lie on side of stem of Y. Have different nuclei, most name or their location represent their name. If we talk about the nuclei of thalamus, there are lots of nuclei present in thalamus, which is divided into anterior part and medial part. If we talk about the anterior thalamic nuclei, where is the anterior thalamic nuclei in that picture? Oh, there is not shown. So, anterior thalamic nuclei connection mammary tract, cingulate gyrus, and hypothalamus. And the function of anterior thalamic nuclei is emotional tone mechanism of recent memory. As you can see, medial geniculate nucleus. Medial geniculate nucleus connection is inferior colliculus, lateral lemniscus from both ear, but predominantly the contralateral ear, and the and the auditory radiation to superior temporal gyrus, and that function is hearing. If we talk about the lateral geniculate nucleus, its connection is optic tract, optic radiation to visual cortex of occipital lobe, and the function is visual information from opposite field of vision. What is corpus callosum? Corpus callosum is a gray matter mass which covers the cerebral cortex. What is head of caudate nucleus? Head of caudate nucleus means caudate follicles. Caudate follicles has an elongated enlargement which produce caudate nucleus. Third ventricle. Third ventricle is continuous with the second ventricle and which is fluid by cerebrospinal fluid. What is longitudinal cerebral fissure? In brain, in cerebral hemisphere, there is a lot of sulci and gyri are present. If sulci are very deep, they are called longitudinal cerebral fissure, which separate two cerebral hemispheres. That is our thalamus appearance. Now, let's talk about the function. If we talk about the function of the thalamus is made up of complicated connections of several nerve cells that are centrally placed in the brain and are interconnected. The large dorsomedial nucleus has extensive connections with the frontal lobe cortex and hypothalamus. The function of thalamus, such as relay of sensory signals, including motor signals, to the cerebral cortex, and the regulation of consciousness, sleep, and alertness. Another function of thalamic nuclei is emotional tone, mechanism of central mechanics of recent memory, influence activity of motor cortex, hearing. Cerebral cortex regulate thalamus and influence motor activity of motor cortex, relay common sensation to consciousness,